What's going on, everyone? It's Cam here, Senior National Training Manager at Diode LED, and today we're going to do a deep dive on channel profiles. We're going to talk about some of the recommendations I have, the 80-20 rule, what channels you should be utilizing in the field for what types of applications, but also talk a little bit more about the design side of integrating channel profiles and extrusions into different types of applications. All right, so we're gonna get started with the basics here. Really, what are the 4 reasons to use a channel profile? There's probably more than 4, but in my opinion, it's going to be, number 1 is obviously diffusion. Then you're gonna have heat sinking. So heat sinking is from the aluminum channel. That aluminum channel helps dissipate the heat and pull the heat away from the tape light. As we all know, the death of LEDs and component drivers is heat. So we want to always do our best to pull that heat away. Also protection. So protection from the environment, different types of elements, oils that splash up from cooking, dust, all these things that will collect on the exposed tape light if you don't have a channel and then sit on the phosphor and actually deteriorate it over time. And then the 4th one is not as well known, but it's probably my favorite, is a finished look or finished fixture or aesthetics. So this is really where the evolution of linear lighting is going, is being able to showcase really unique channel profiles that can integrate into architecture, but also look aesthetically pleasing, that have a very minimalistic, small form factor. And so that is what's awesome about a channel profile. You can show tape light to your customer, and as much as you want to talk about how great it is, the CRI, all of this stuff, in the end run, your customer, a homeowner who's not privy to the lighting, will always say, okay, that's just tape light though. It's ribbon lighting, it's rope lighting, it's strip lighting. But when you go and you show them a fully finished fixture, this is something that they can understand. This is something that they've seen at a showroom. It's durable. It has form to it. It looks much more aesthetically pleasing. So just keep that in mind. Those are really the 4 reasons to use a channel profile: diffusion, heat sinking, protection, and finished fixture or finished look. Okay. Also, all of our channels, for the most part, there are 1 or 2 exceptions. Almost all of them come in either 4-foot sections or 8-foot sections. All of our channels are also field cuttable, but just keep in mind, some are easier than others. So in my opinion, through the years of training, I recommend a bandsaw or a chop saw or circular saw. So a bandsaw is a lot more portable, especially the new electric bandsaws. So you can actually bring that onto a job site and pivot in the field. And then a chop saw and a circular saw are more, they're not nearly as mobile, but those definitely have the best cutting through the channel and lens and have the smoothest cuts. All of our channels also come as bundles. And so what this means is that you don't have to look around and try to find the lens and the end caps and the mounting clips. So all of our channels will have that automatically in the bag. So lens, end caps, mounting clips, and the extrusion. So, and then all of our channels as well come with that 5-year warranty. Okay, so a couple things I want to talk about with channel profiles. So when we're talking to distributors or contractors, we want to use channel or channel profiles. When we're talking to specification or custom integration, we want to talk about channel profiles or extrusions or channel extrusions. Okay, so like we were talking about, we have really 4 categories. We have standard, we have angled, recessed, and then we also have specialty channels. And so I'm going to start with standard, and this is probably what you're most used to: a rectangular flat top lens. Okay, as you can see here, flat top lens. This is what everyone has used in the industry for a very long time. As you can see here, this is what I would consider a standard channel. Now, you can have standard channels that have some performance features on them. So for example, this is a standard channel. Okay, so you can see the race right here. This is for like hitting clips and wire management and things like that, but that is a standard channel. Now, I want to talk about now angled channels. So to give you a couple examples, this is an angled channel. As you can see here, it has it actually is shaped at an angle so that you can form fit this into some type of corner, maybe where the wall meets the other wall, where the ceiling meets the wall, inside the corner of the backsplash, where the under cabinet and the backsplash meet together. Okay, so an angled channel can really change the way you integrate into that architecture. The big point on this is that you can take the same light engine, okay, the same exact light engine, and put it in 10 different channel profiles. And it will completely change the way you integrate into the architecture, the way it aesthetically looks, how it actually disperses light onto a surface area. So really, extrusions can kind of give you that creativity on how you want to design an application. This is just another example of an angled channel here. As you notice here, this is one that has a raceway. So this raceway is for clips so that you can adjust it. So imagine, later on we'll talk about it, but imagine you could put this in a cove and be able to adjust the light. Okay? And then we also have recessed, which is the next category here. So we have what would be more traditional recess, where you have the flanges on the side. This is one of our more indiscreet, minimalistic form factors, our slim recess channel. Okay, and the flanges, if you ever wondered why you have these flanges on each side, that's because when the contractor is doing the mill work and routing out into the wood, if they on accident screw up a little bit and they make it too wide, the raceway, the flanges help be able to hide that mistake and still sit in there with a nice form factor and make it look aesthetically, make it look really good. So that's one recess. This is just a larger one to fit maybe our Valent or Valent X types of tape light that are 12 millimeters. Okay, same idea. And then also there's mud in. So mud in I still consider as recess. This is where you'll have it. You'll have different types of linear lights actually mudded into the drywall, so it's attached to the sheetrock. You can do a lot of different geometric shapes. You can go up a wall, connect to the ceiling, and then go back down the other side of the wall. You can make T's, X's, squares, whatever you want. These right here will be mudded over, so it's going to be completely flushed to the drywall, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And then the last one is going to be more your specialty channels, okay? And so I'm going to show you a couple examples here. So this is our reflector channel, okay? And if you notice here, I'm going to show it. You have the actual raceway up here where you put the tape light, and there's a lens here, okay? I'll show that this way here. And then you have this ribbed aluminum right here. Okay, and so this makes it where it shines off the ribbed aluminum and reflects. This is our reflector channel, and it gives you this nice floating glow effect. Or another example would be our sconce channel. So it has this raceway behind, so you would take that off, you can drill it into the wall or the ceiling, then this would either slide on or pop on, and then you have a lens and a raceway on both sides. So imagine with something like this, okay, and I'll show it this way, you could make this a little step light. You could make this a bathroom vanity. You could make it a sconce going horizontal. You could make it a sconce going vertical. Okay, you could do so many different things with this and have light coming up and down or to the sides. And then just one other example of a specialty channel would be like our, this is our closet mounting rod. And so what this does is you actually attach the clips, and instead of having in your walk-in closet a rod that you hang up your clothes on, this would be the actual rod that you hang up your clothes on, and it gives you this light underneath. Okay, so that's just another example of a specialty channel. We have multiple different ways that you can specify how you want that wire to come out of the extrusion. So as you can see, obviously the most common is a end wire entry, or you can do a bottom wire entry, a side one, or a side two. So just keep this in mind when you are designing a project. Sometimes you might, on an under cabinet system, not want the wire to come out the end, but you want it to come out the back side of it so that you hide that wire much more cleanly. So it looks, it has a much better aesthetic. Field assembly was kind of what most manufacturers did for years. There was really no options back in the day for factory or hybrid. And so field assembly was really where you had spools of tape light, 16-foot spools, 100-foot spools, bolt channel, so either 4 feet or 8 feet, the connectors and the drivers, and then we would ship it out into the field, and the installer would then put it all together. They would have to cut the tape light, cut the channel, put the tape light in the channel, make the connections with the lead wire, put the lens on it, and then hook it up to the driver. We were one of the first companies to come out with factory assembly. What we're unique though in the industry for is that we do factory assembly here in the actual US. So we don't have these 3 to 4 week lead times where people are telling you that they're doing this factory assembly, but it's really just being made overseas to your specification. We can actually do that here in Reno, Nevada, which allows us to do a large factory assembled job in maybe about 7 business days, which is really great in the industry. Factory assembly is where we're going to take a look at your plans, we'll mark mark up the plans, scale them, get the exact dimensions, and then we'll have that go over the prep production. They will get everything staged, like by cutting the channel, cutting the tape light to the exact length you want, cutting the lead wire, getting the lens ready, everything. And then that will go into production where we will then build out the fixture and then have it in a bag with a nice UL tag on it. And this way, when you ship it out into the field, it is a much easier install and you save on labor. So really, those are the contrasts, right? Field assembly is going to be a much quicker shipping time, but a little bit longer labor. Factory assembly is going to be a longer shipping time, but obviously a much faster plug and play labor. So, and then there's hybrid. Hybrid is probably our most popular assembly option out there. That is where maybe the dimensions keep changing on a project. We've all been there where they keep changing and we're a little worried about if we do factory assembled, then the channel is going to be cut to those exact specifications. And then what happens if it's too big to integrate into that application or too small? It doesn't look good. So hybrid is where we'll take that tape light that you need. We'll take the lengths that you want. We'll buffer about 10 to 20% on top of it, just in case, so you can trim back the tape light. We will then do a factory soldered lead. A soldered lead in tape light is the strongest, but also most low profile connection you can make. And then we'll ship out the channels in bulk. So this way you can cut the channel to size and then still do the assembly in the field. The two things I really want to mention here though is if it's going to be a direct view application, and what that means by direct view is if you can see the face of the lens, I strongly suggest you never use connectors. So I would do a hybrid, or I would do a factory assembly, or if you do a field assembly, you want to make sure that the installer can solder, because no one wants to do a mud-in project where they have this beautiful geometric shapes, and then at the end of it, it lights up and you have a bunch of dead spots all over the place due to the connectors. What to focus on? We can't go over every single channel profile. I know it can be a little bit overwhelming as well when you go on our website. We have a bunch of different types of extrusions. So I really want to talk about the 80-20 rule and what I've been seeing around the country and different types of industries as well, you know, in custom integration and distribution and specification. Before we talk about each series, I'm going to really want you to focus on some of these key features when you go into these series. And this is something that's going to help you remember when you should specify one channel series versus the other channel series. So the first channel series is going to be on the A series. Okay, so the big thing I want you to remember is that the A series was the brainchild behind homogeneous lighting. Homogeneous lighting is a new lighting design term that was really coined maybe about 4 years ago. That's it. And it is a step above dotless. So dotless lighting is a little bit outdated now. You can have a low profile channel, okay, and you have dotless lighting, but it can still be so low profile that the lens is too close to the tape light and you get a hot spot, a beam through the middle, and that's it, and it dies off on the sides. Homogeneous lighting is having even illumination from the edge of the lens to the other edge of the lens completely. Okay, so also the A series, I want you to remember that these channels have finish options, black, aluminum, and white, and they also have lens options. So architectural frosted, architectural clear, and architectural frosted satin, okay, which is really an update on opal, but has much better scattering properties. These are spec grade performance. What we mean by this is that they're made in the USA. They are very, very high-end channel profiles that have amazing performance features that are really dedicated and meant for specification jobs, so luxury residential, high-end commercial jobs. Also, they're fantastic for direct view applications. So this is the A series. We have 3 different ones, the A1, A2, and A3, and I'll go into these here in just a second. Really, in the end run, I want you to remember a few things with each different channel. So with the A1, this was our first channel that we ever came out with in the A series. It's been around for a while. It's made in the USA. It's also BAA and BABA rated, and it also has 2 different length options. This is one of those unique ones where it has that 4-foot length, but it has a 90-inch length. It's not 96. It's compatible pretty much with every single one of our connectors. The only thing is that you can't really fit 12-millimeter wet-located tape light in there using our connectors. And then the last thing I want to talk about is that I really highly recommend the A1 for anything with warm dim, specifically our Valent warm dim in direct view applications. And then we have the A2, really the little sister to the A1. It's the exact same form factor, but just smaller. And what I want you to focus on this is it has all the other features of the A1, like made in the USA, things like that. It has the finish options as well, but we have 3 different lenses now with the A2 and the A3. The architectural frosted, which is going to be 80% of your projects. It is 30% light loss, the 35K CCT shift. CCT shift is a new thing that we're focusing on. Really, the average in the industry is about 150, which is horrible. The standard for lighting design is 100 CCT shift, and all of our stuff on average is around that 35K, depending on, sometimes there's a specialty lens that has a little bit worse of a CCT shift. So architectural clear, and then you also have this satin. I want to just mention the satin. It has a much it has a higher light loss, but it is fantastic for direct view. So if you are using the A2 in direct view, it has very, very low glare control, very, very low glare. And then the A3, exact same form factor. Pretty much everything is the same as the A2. The only thing is we just took that raceway off the bottom. So this is the A series. We have the A3 here, the A2, and then the A1. I'm going to start with the A1 because it has a couple unique patents on it. So I want you to notice here is the shark tooth acrylic that we use. You can see these little ribbed teeth. Imagine like a heat sinker where it has that spacing in between. It helps dissipate the heat. In the same way, this helps dissipate the light and scatter it quickly to create homogeneous lighting down the channel in the lens. So, and then the other patent on this is this raceway. So this raceway on the A1 was designed around 12mm tape light. So Valent or Valent X. So this way, if you have a long run, 8 feet or 16 feet, instead of having to focus on laying the tape light down perfectly in the beginning to keep it straight, this will allow you to have it evenly ran all the way through without having to worry about it riding up the sides of the channel. The A2, I'm going to show you, is very similar in the design, almost identical, it's just smaller. The idea with this is linear lighting is kind of, an analogy would be like technology. Everyone wants technology smaller, more minimalistic form factors. They don't want to see the hardware anymore. They don't even want to see where their technology is coming from. In the same way with lighting. People no longer want to see the dots. They want smaller apertures, minimalistic form factors. They want indirect view where you don't even notice where the lighting is coming from. And so obviously people ask us, could you make it smaller? The issue is if you want to create homogeneous lighting, so even illumination from the edge of the lens to the other edge of the lens, the smaller you go, it's much more difficult because the lens is closer to the tape light. So what we did with the A2 and A3 is notice how the acrylic lens here wraps all the way in to cover the inside of the aluminum. This is not normal. Usually lenses snap on and they snap about right here. So there's a bunch of aluminum on the sides that are exposed inside of the raceway. So what this allows us to do now is the aluminum is being covered so that the light doesn't die off on the sides, because that's the reason why it does, is the aluminum is killing that light. The other thing we did is we used a bubble, these little bubble acrylic, where we infuse these little bubbles into the acrylic. Imagine like a bubble of water, okay, and you shine light through that water. It's going to scatter the light instantly, but it's also going to almost make it at 360. That is the idea with this, is scattering that light as quickly as we possibly can. I do want to showcase the A2 here in a fully loaded channel. So this is in the white finish here. And I want to showcase both the raceway underneath, so you can see the clips here. Right here for wire management, and they're hitting clips and stuff. But also, we did something unique with the A2. Notice how the end cap is completely aluminum, and it's very, very small. Most end caps out there are plastic. They might be the same finish, but you can see that they look slightly different. They're a little bit more bulky. What we did is we used a set screw here so you can really tighten it down, and it almost looks like it's one single extruded aluminum piece. Okay, and then the A3, really, it's the same idea as the A2, the same performance features with the lens wrapping in through the aluminum, the bubble acrylic. The only difference is it doesn't have a raceway on it, but this is fantastic for millwork, because I want you to notice something here. Notice how you can't see almost any aluminum on the actual face of the lens. A lot of channels out there, you'll see a big aluminum coming through here and here. And so what happens is if you do this in millwork, what I love about the A3 is it is difficult because it doesn't have flanges. You have to have a good miller. But when you mill this in perfectly, it has just this even glow all the way through without seeing any aluminum. This is the A3. Without blinding you here, you can see you have that beautiful even illumination all the way through the actual lens. I just want to end off the A series with the lens options. So you have that architectural frosted, like I talked about, most common, great for direct and indirect view applications. You have the architectural clear. This is much more for indirect view. Really, the way I want you to see clear is those 10% of those projects or applications where maybe you don't want to increase the price by stepping up the lumen output in the tape light, the light engine, but you need to be able to increase the lumen output on a cove, for example, or above a cabinet. You could use a clear lens to increase that lumen output. And then we have the architectural frosted satin. This is a unique lens. It's really an update on Opal that we desperately have needed. It is definitely a little bit higher light loss, but you get this beautiful low glare illumination. So I really strongly suggest this with any type of direct view applications. All right, so now on to our legacy channel profiles. I want you to remember these as being dotless, so not homogeneous, but still dotless. You won't get massive runaway diffusion. And then also they do have finish and lens options like the A series. The finishes are the same, aluminum, black, and white, but you do get a few extra lens options with this these legacy channel profiles. So we have the slim, we have the square, and then we have the 45 degree. And really the slim is going to be our probably most popular channel profile across the country. Is one of our first channel profiles we ever made. Again, it has, it's very low profile and has multiple different lens options here. The square is almost the exact same profile, but just with a raceway underneath. Now imagine this raceway is not like the A2 or A1, where you have a larger raceway for wire management. This is just for hitting clips. But what you can do with this channel is be able to adjust it. So in a cove where you need to be able to have some adjustability, you'll have that option. Underneath an under cabinet where you want to be able to adjust it forward when you need light on the countertop where you're cooking, but then you don't want the light always there, so you can adjust it back and keep the light closer to the backsplash. And then there's also the 45 degree. So this is the angle channel with these legacy profiles. It has that raceway on the back. And so let's go over the lens options. So you have the standard frosted, which we've had for a very long time. You have the architectural frosted. Really the difference between these frosted lenses is that the architectural frosted lens has scattering properties within the lens. The architectural clear is like a hybrid. It has some light loss, to only 10%, but that is a pro and con where even though it has 10% light loss, it has very good diffusion and glare control for most clear lenses out there. Then there's the premium diffusion. This is the larger lens that you see there on the right that's going to give you really, really good diffusion. It is definitely a little bit larger. We do see this in a lot of like above cabinet or in direct view types of applications. And then we have the black lens. The black lens does, though, decrease the light loss by 90% and has a pretty large CCT shift. If you're going to use static white tape light in there, I strongly suggest using 3500 Kelvin or above. It looks much better. But I do want to show you here in a second how great color changing looks in the black lens. So these are our legacy channel profiles. We have the slim, we have the square, and then we have the 45 degree. And so I'll showcase the slim is just a very low profile standard channel. So you notice here, no raceway on the back. It does have a little bit of a wider aperture, so this way that you can fit in larger tape lights. And then we have the square. Okay, the square is very similar to the slim. It just has that raceway underneath to be able to have different types of clips, either flat clips or adjustable clips. And then we also have the 45 degree. This is an angled channel here, as you can see, and it has that beautiful raceway underneath so that you can be able to adjust it inside of a cove or underneath under cabinet. All right, so the one I wanted to showcase up close and personal is our black lens in the slim channel using our Streamlight RGBW. So this is supposed to be a red. As you notice, I'm not a big fan of how this looks, and that's because it's a pastel red. So we are mixing all of the white into the red. Now notice something though, when I take all the white out, it becomes a very saturated red. Now on camera, it might have a little bit of a different look to it, but in person, it has this deep saturated red. We are using this all around the country for baseboards and home theaters. So really, really excited about where this product is going and how we're utilizing it. So I just wanted to keep it on your radar. The S series is our more budget sensitive option for channel profiles. Now, I still want you to remember that these are pretty much dotless across the board. Even if you use Streamlight, you can really make it almost homogeneous lighting using our dotless chip on board tape light, Streamlight. But these are really where you're going to need budget sensitive options. And so the reason why we can make these much more cost effective is because we don't offer them with finishes, so it's only aluminum, and we don't have any type of lenses besides the frosted polycarbonate lens. So these are what the S-Series looks like. We have our S1. It's our most low profile channel that we have in our product line. We have the S2. It's a little bit larger. The lens is a little bit farther away from the tape light. For all of those people out there in the country who use the Canal, which was a legacy channel for years, it is almost the exact same form factor as the Canal, but without that opal lens that gives you that pink shift. And then we also have the S45. It's one of my favorite angled channels. It has this beautiful rounded lens to it, so it gives you this really amazing scattering property where you have good scattering of diffusion all throughout the surface area. Our lenses that we use is a polycarbonate lens that has an extremely low CCT shift. Most cost-effective channel profiles out there have major problems with shifting the color of the white light or color changing products, and they distort the light. They don't look that good. What we did differently is we were able to keep the cost down on these channel profiles, but actually give you a very, very unique type of lens that has very low CCT shift. These absolutely look beautiful, and you'd be surprised for the cost of them, how gorgeous these can look. All right, so we have the S1. As you can see here, it's very, very low profile. The S2, similar form factor, just the lens is a little bit farther away from the tape light, and then the S45. But these are definitely our bread and butter. We're using this throughout the entire country, and I'm a big fan of specifically the S45 and the S1. I use this all the time. It's our most low profile channel. It looks absolutely beautiful with Streamlight. And then also our S45 because of that rounded lens. This gives you, instead of it being a flat lens, even though it's an angled channel, a lot of angled channels out there have this flat lens, which what that creates is what's called a harsh cutoff of light, where when you see the light on a surface area, you can actually see the lines where they end. It almost looks like a border. What this does is creates this dispersion of light where you don't even see where it ends. Is that you can take a cost-effective, low-profile channel and create homogeneous lighting throughout the entire lens. It's absolutely stunning, and people would be shocked at the price that this is for how good this actually looks in person. All right, so the last channel I want to talk about is our 16 millimeter, and mainly I just want you to remember that this is for dotless diffusion, but also really the best channel profile we offer for wet located applications. You can see it's a much deeper cavity with this channel profile, so it's also a little bit wider, so it can accept wet located tape light in there. And then it also has a raceway on the back side for hidden mounting clips and wire management. We have an aluminum finish and a black finish. What is a little bit unique and can throw people off is the aluminum finish has the architectural frosted lens on it, and then the black finish only comes with the old opal lens. Just keep that in mind. This is our 16 millimeter channel. You can see here, a little bit larger, but that's the main point for this is to be able to have that lens be far enough away from the wet located tape light or color changing so that you get this nice diffusion. This is the raceway underneath. You can see here has raceway for hitting clips and wire management. And then I want to showcase this in color changing. So this is our 16 millimeter channel, but it's utilizing our Valent RGBW. And so this is supposed to be a red. Again, wanted to just showcase the difference between pastel colors and saturated colors. I am not the biggest fan of pastel colors because I think it washes out the color too much. But as you notice here, I can take out all the white, and it gets this nice deep saturated red. So the reason why I wanted to showcase this is a lot of people see the 16 millimeter channel as just for wet located. I am a huge fan of this channel for also color changing of any type. So tunable white, RGB, RGBW, or RGBTW. All right, well, that's a wrap. Thank you for joining us. This was our training on channel profiles. We went over the basics, what channel series we recommend for different types of applications, as well as some design techniques on how to integrate into target applications like kitchens and coves. So with that, I'll see you on the next one. I'm Cam, Senior National Training Manager at Diode LED.